What's up, people? We're back for number 2. Right, so let's clarify a few things. Obviously, when I was talking about being a man from the last video, I was obviously a man should also be providing for his family, going out there working, all those kind of things. Should be working for his family to take care of his children. Obviously, you bring children into the world, you should be looking after them, things like that. Some people of the past, say like of the 60s, of the previous, it's not, I can't remember what you call it now, not decade, but you know what I'm talking about, the other word. But some people were raised to believe that you drop your kids off at your grandparents' house and then you work, you know, the woman and the man works diligently night and day in order to secure their future, to build a house while the grandparents raise the kids. That's fine, that's still being a man, you know. But the previous subject was never about that. I'm just letting you know. So some people out there saying, what about looking after, you know, your family and all of that? Obviously that comes into being a man as well. But I'm talking about I was talking about the whole kind of standing up for yourself thing, you know. So we've gone through the hard man, which is someone that's willing to have a go at any time, at the split of a second. Is looking to fight and doesn't care of the outcome. The Bible does say, do not be quick to anger. Do not be quick to anger. So if you can go from 0 to 0.5 seconds anger. So if I can sit down here now and be talking, and then maybe someone opens my door and I go like that, and then literally from 0 to 0.5 of a second I've turned into some demon or whatever. That's not necessarily a good thing. Okay. We've gone into what being we've also stated the fact that anyone can kind of be in that. Anyone can turn into a hard man, depending on the life's experience. If they've suddenly had a really, like, if I was like, I don't know, I lost my house, and I lost my job and my girlfriend just dumped me or something like that, and now I'm in that state now, just like Liam Nielsen. Now I'm walking along the street and I'm looking to take out when I want someone to bump into me. It's like, bump into me. I'm now become that hard man. I just don't care. Maybe I want to experience pain, maybe I want someone to hurt me, you know. I just don't care anymore, you know. So we've explained, you know, that's the hard man. We've explained what a man is, being a man is, and that's basically standing up for yourself. Don't let people take too much liberties with you, you know. You shouldn't be quick to anger, but don't let them take too much liberties. Stand up for yourself. And when it comes to your family, there's just no choice, because if you're not standing up for your family, then you're not a man, as far as I'm concerned. I will get into a little bit later on my thoughts on good men, you know, my thoughts on good men. But yeah, so now this video here, we're going to be talking about playing the hard man, or you know, want to be tough guy, or pretending to be tough or whatever. So the last one is pretending to be tough, and pretending to be tough could be many things. It could be like when you were a child, you were being bullied or something like that, and you move to a new area and you realize that, you know, if you pretend, there's this saying, get them before they get you, kind of thing, you know. So now you've moved into, you know, you learned from a child basically that learned from an early age as a child that, you know, to assess the situation that you're in now. Now you move to a different area and you see kids around you, you realize that things have to be handled differently. Again, it's a natural learning curve for us as human beings. You know, you were maybe bullied in your previous area, whatever. You moved to a new area as a child, and now you realize that, wait a minute, hey, get them before they get you. Make an everlasting impression. So when you first move to that area, you've realized that, you know, I'm gonna kind of maybe intimidate a few people. Maybe I'm gonna kind of get aggressive with them. And when you tried that out as a child, you realize that a lot of people, when they saw you acting all schizo and crazy and, you know, breathing hard in these kind of faces and shouting, they kind of back down. You know, a lot of people back down. They were kind of, oh, I don't want none of this, kind of thing. and you've kind of learned over the years that this works. This kind of works. I can safeguard myself by kind of getting to them before they get to me. So you've kind of, you know, you've developed a persona that really has nothing really behind it. You may not have that pain tolerance like the Hardman has. You've most likely definitely become a man. I say you're definitely a man. Playing the Hardman and being a man is definitely the same thing. It just depends on what kind of man you are, really. Because, you know, if you're a good man and you're standing up and you're pretending like you can fight and this or that, there's really nothing wrong with that, because you're still, in a sense, protecting yourself. You're still protecting yourself. You're still trying to protect your family. You're trying to deal with this awkward situation by resorting to something that you've learned in the past that you know works, and you're hoping that it will work in this situation in order to protect your family. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're one of those hard men that are walking around and you're kind of bullying people now, then that's something totally different. Now this is a whole new ball game, and yet there's nothing really behind it to back it. Then that's something entirely different, you know. So that's kind of playing the hard man, you know. Even in Taekwondo, when I was learning, I wasn't at Taekwondo for long. I was only there for, you know, a few sessions basically. But even in Taekwondo, when you throw a punch, you go, I can't shout because I've got neighbours and all of that, but you'll shout at the top of your lungs, like that. And the whole purpose of shouting is to scare your opponent. When your opponent hears you shout, they're scared by it. You know, if you're out in the wilderness and you're being attacked by a bear or something like that, you'll make as much noise as whatever you can, and you'll make yourself bigger. And it's kind of a scare tactics. You know, even animals do it. So playing the hard man is something that, you know, a lot of us naturally do, but it just depends on what's the reason behind it. Are you doing it to protect your family, or have you taken this kind of something that you've learned as a child a little too far? Okay, and now you're going around and you're kind of almost bullying people with it. You're kind of teasing, poking people to see how far they go. And when they actually do say to you, right, let's have some, when you approach a real hard man, so when the guy that's pretending to be tough approaches the real hard man, and the hard man says, right, let's have it, you suddenly, no, I was only kidding, mate, I was joking around with you, bruv, you know that. No, mate, I was only joking around, though. All of that, that's pretending kind of thing. You know, but all three of them have their justifications as to why they're used. So I can't say any of them are bad. Well, it goes. All I will say to you is that obviously being a man is something we all have to be. I think some people fail to understand that. They fail to understand it. You don't have a choice. You have to be a man. You have to stick up for, if not so much yourself, but definitely for your family. Because if you're not, then you're, you know, when you hear people use the word, I think is it cuckold or whatever, or simp, or weakling, or there's other words that people use, basically, you know what I'm talking about. I always try to keep it PG. When they use those terms, then those terms are you are that, because you've allowed someone to maybe come into your house and disrespect it, or, you know, you've allowed someone to go a little too far with you and you didn't stand up for yourself and things like that. So being a man is something that we all have to be. Being a hard man now is where this whole next thing, counselling, comes into it. Being the hard man and somewhat playing the hard man in a very negative sense, in the sense where you're now bullying people. You know, this is where the whole counselling thing comes into it. When I went on to that, the first thing I want to say is that there's only a handful of people in my life that I can say are good men. You know, it's not talking about being a man, looking after your family, providing for them, and this and that. There's only a handful of people in my life that I can say are role models as men. I can truly look at them and say that they're men. So when I see all these people on the net pretending to be tough and all of this kind of stuff on the internet and all of that, they're not men in my eyes. They're not men. You know, there's only a handful. If they are men, they're not men in what I would regard as a positive sense of a man. Therefore, they're not men, period, as far as I'm concerned. You know, there's only a very handful of people in my life that I regard as men, as true men, men that go out there and work hard, men that look after their family and this and that, men that probably will see like 10 guys attacking one guy in the street and run in there and they don't care whether they live or whether they die. Some of them may be hard men as well. If they're good hard men, then they're most likely turn their life around, because that's why you get some people that have just come out of jail and prison. They've turned their life around and now they're helping people. Now they're helping the younger generation, teaching them better lessons, youth workers and things like that. And they're the guys that don't mind. They see someone being attacked, they'll jump in and they'll do whatever it takes, and they'll probably deal with it, or they'll go up to the person and let the person know, listen, you better stay away from that guy, or 10 of you, otherwise it's going to kick off. A simple phone call, and again, they mean it. Like I said in the beginning, they mean it. So some of the hard men have reformed themselves and they've become really good, members of society. And there's good, and there's, they're special people as well. Like I mentioned in my judging game video, these people are stars, the stars of the community as far as I'm concerned. And there's good men out there as well that they may not have gone to jail or whatever, but they've definitely worked hard for their family. Because people seem to think that you have to go to jail in order to be this kind of real G or real this or real that. No, you spending 7 years in education and studying hard is also a man as well. That's not easy. You going to university and working your arse off isn't very easy. You finding a job in between that time that you're studying isn't easy. So good is good as far as I'm concerned. There is no greater good. Good is simply good, but yeah, so both of those roles are people that should really be looked up to, but when we look at the negative roles of those people, so a hard man that's maybe on the bad side of life, or someone playing the hard man and that's on the bad side of life, it then brings me back to the video that I was talking about, where they were on the guy's page, saying to him, well, maybe you need counseling. That's not something that you should be counseling isn't a bad thing, because there are some people out there that are hurting inside, and something like counseling, if they haven't had a mentor, and a mentor like I described, someone that's just maybe come out of jail, turned their life around, and now they're helping the younger generation around them, and they see a kid that was in their situation, if they haven't had a mentor like that, then the next best thing would be counseling. And when people are on the internet and they're talking about maybe you need counseling, trust me, you wouldn't say those things to those kind of ex-gangsters or wannabe, or the people that are playing the tough guy and had a bad childhood or whatever. You wouldn't be saying, oh, maybe you need counseling to them, because the reality of it is that they would admit that they needed it, but then it's not something to be laughed at. Basically, there's a lot of people out there that are suffering and they need something like counseling, and counseling isn't a bad thing. I myself was took counseling, and I was starting to be a counsellor to try to help people so that they can live a better life, so that they are not walking around suffering, and the biggest thing that I want to say is that when you're on someone's page and you're saying things like that, there's it can either be one or the other. A, that you're really young and immature, or B, you need counseling yourself, because what you're doing on the internet, doing that in the first place, you kind of come across as like the guy playing the hard man. You're the same thing. What are you doing on the internet, putting people down like that in the first place? One thing I discovered in my life is that there was a lot of people that were they were walking around almost trying to fight people or belittle people or put them down or hurt them, when deep down inside they were hurting. And some of the people that I knew that was close to me would come around, and when they heard I was doing counseling, would laugh and say, oh, you're in counseling and blah blah blah. But those same individuals, some of them, had issues worse than mine. The only difference is I was actually doing something about my issues. I was actually out there trying to resolve it, trying to make myself a better person, trying to become a role model. Whereas this person's in denial, and they're sitting down there and they're kind of judging me. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of, touch up upon this in my last video, and then I'm going to explain to you how the whole counselling thing works and the downsides to counselling. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you in one more video. I hope you still join me. I hope you've enjoyed these videos. I'll see you around for part 3. Peace.